I'm David Potts, the proprietor of Fluid Fuel Technologies. What I'm going to discuss today is diesel fuel, various problems associated with diesel fuel, and the remarkable decontaminant Deisel Fix. When it comes to diesel, the only problem with diesel is it's highly attractive to water. It's hygroscopic. It absorbs moisture from the air. That is a continuous process. It's a microscopic process. We can't see it with the naked eye. So to discuss the problem of water in diesel, I'm going to take 2 samples of diesel and add water to them. This is normal tap water, quite innocuous stuff, until it gets into diesel. Everybody's conception of water in diesel is that it lies below the fuel, at the bottom of the container. However, when that fuel is in a vehicle's tank and that vehicle goes off down the road, you get this effect taking place, where the water goes into suspension. Now, no water trap in the world can separate that from the fuel. The first thing that happens when water comes into the fuel, it meets up with sulfur. And when water and sulfur come together, they form sulfurous acid. It is the action of that acid that's formed that causes the diesel to turn brown with age. It actually causes a decomposition of the diesel, where resin separates from the fuel and coats everything it comes into contact with. I'm going to do an example of this here. This is sulfuric acid, and this is an eyedropper to dispense it with. What I'm about to do now is replicate the natural aging process of the diesel, but highly accelerated. We don't have weeks to sit here and watch. The fuel starts off completely fresh, but as time goes by, it turns darker in color. And eventually, we get resin separating from the fuel as part of the decomposition. Let that stand. This is an identical sample, and we'll go through the same process with this. It would normally take a year or so for diesel to deteriorate to this level. we all know that when a vehicle is emitting heavy black smoke, that it's the result of dirty injectors. But my question is, what is the dirt that you get in an injector? There it is right there. That resin coats the innards of the injector and, strangely enough, causes overfueling. And it's the overfueling that creates the black smoke. This is arguably the biggest problem with diesel fuel and diesel engines. Currently, most manufacturers don't even, or many manufacturers, don't even recondition injectors. They simply replace them. And they cost thousands. With Deisel Fix, one of its most effective characteristics is the highly specific resin solvent contained in the liquid. The fuel itself has already gone clean. And as treated fuel flows through the fuel system, it will slowly and gently dissolve all the resin buildup in those injectors. As you can see, it's not an overnight process. It normally takes between 3 days and a week for the fuel system to be cleaned up until it's silver clean. Now, logic dictates that if dirty injectors waste fuel, clean injectors use optimum fuel. The best fuel consumption you can get is from a clean set of injectors. Coming back to the water, filter manufacturers have tried for 100 years to separate the water out, with some success. But this experiment is going to prove that Deisel Fix changes the water into a new liquid that is fuel soluble. This sample will look like this in 20 years' time. It is a solution, it is not a mixture, it has not been dispersed, it is not an emulsion. And I can say that this fuel is now 100% water-free. That statement immediately begs the question, so what's happened to the water? What I'm going to do now is to mix 1 part water with 1 part additive, a 50-50 mixture. If anybody wants to talk about an additive that gets rid of water, this is the test to do. The 50-50 mixture of the additive and water, that's how Deisel Fix works with the water. The 2 most crucial functions of diesel fuel are combustion and lubrication. Unfortunately, it's very difficult to demonstrate the lubricity factor to video watchers. But if we feel the Deisel Fix, we can feel it slightly oily, very similar to diesel. In fact, it's got the same specifications as diesel. Now, bearing in mind that this liquid here started off being 50% water, the lubricity is 3 times more. In other words, we have converted the water now into a fuel-soluble lubricant. The only matter that we haven't discussed is combustion. Lighter, Steve. A 50% mixture of water and any combustible liquid on Earth will not burn. Even 50% water and gunpowder will not burn. This may not burn because of the wind. Clearly, we do not turn water into racing fuel. But we can, the wind is a bit strong. We convert it into a combustible liquid. But when it burns, there is a total absence of smoke. There is no smoke whatsoever. The absence of smoke is a scientific indication of complete combustion. So now, we've just proven that we can convert water into a fully combustible lubricant that dissolves in the diesel. That is the end of the water problem. By killing the water problem, we kill the aging process of the fuel. The fuel remains fresh and clean. A final experiment to do with combustibility does that glass show? I'm going to pour some diesel into this watch glass. And then I'm going to soak a little rolled up toilet paper in the diesel. Clearly visible is the black smoke coming off the diesel. That hasn't worked particularly well. A little more. The smoke isn't completely gone, but it's vastly reduced. That's the effect that Deisel Fix has on the combustion of diesel fuel. Thank you for your time.